Welcome to Curiosity, the podcast where science meets wonder. Join us as we explore the fascinating, the innovative, and the unexpected, from the secrets of the cosmos to the marvels of everyday life. Each episode takes you on a journey to uncover the knowledge and stories that fuel our endless quest for understanding. Let your curiosity guide you.
Empire Eternal: The Lives and Legacy of Ancient Rome. Life in the Roman Empire was a complex tapestry of social structures, cultural practices, and economic activities that spanned centuries and diverse regions. At its height, the empire stretched across 3 continents: Europe, Asia, and Africa, encompassing a variety of peoples, climates, and traditions. Despite this diversity, Roman society maintained a cohesive identity rooted in its political system, military might, and cultural achievements. Understanding life in the Roman Empire requires delving into its urban and rural environments, the roles of social classes, and the daily lives of its citizens and subjects. The city of Rome, the heart of the empire, was a bustling metropolis of over 1 million people at its peak. It was a city of grand contrasts, where monumental architecture such as the Colosseum, the Forum, and the Pantheon coexisted with crowded tenement buildings called insulae. These multi-story structures housed the urban poor and middle-class citizens, often in cramped and hazardous conditions. The wealthier classes lived in spacious villas, complete with courtyards, mosaics, and private baths. Urban life was vibrant but challenging, with constant noise from markets, chariot races, and construction. Public spaces like the baths, theaters, and circuses were integral to social life, providing places for relaxation, entertainment, and political discourse. The Roman economy was predominantly agrarian, with vast estates, latifundia, worked by slaves and tenant farmers producing grain, olives, and wine. These goods were essential for feeding Rome's population and for trade across the empire. Commerce flourished thanks to an extensive road network and the Mediterranean Sea, which the Romans referred to as Mare Nostrum, our sea. Trade brought exotic goods like silk, spices, and ivory from distant lands, creating a cosmopolitan culture in major cities. Markets, or fora, were bustling hubs where merchants and craftsmen sold their wares, from pottery and textiles to jewelry and tools. Social hierarchy defined life in the Roman Empire, with clear distinctions between classes. At the top were the patricians, wealthy landowners and descendants of Rome's founding families. Below them were the plebeians, the common citizens who made up the majority of the population. Citizenship was a prized status that conferred legal rights and protections, and it could be granted to individuals across the empire, fostering loyalty and a sense of belonging. Non-citizens, including freedmen and slaves, had limited rights, though some could improve their status through service or wealth. Slavery was a cornerstone of Roman society, integral to its economy and daily life. Slaves worked in agriculture, households, mines, and public projects. Their treatment varied widely, from brutal conditions in quarries to relatively humane treatment in domestic roles. Despite their low status, some slaves gained their freedom and achieved prosperity, particularly in urban centers where skilled labor was in demand. The possibility of manumission provided hope for a better future, and freedmen often became important contributors to Roman society. Religion played a central role in Roman life, blending traditional practices with the influences of conquered peoples. Romans worshipped a pantheon of gods and goddesses, performing rituals and sacrifices to gain their favor. Temples and altars dotted the landscape, serving as focal points for communal worship. Religious festivals, such as Saturnalia and Lupercalia, were major events, combining piety with revelry. As the empire expanded, it absorbed the deities and practices of its provinces, creating a rich tapestry of beliefs. The eventual rise of Christianity, initially a marginalized sect, would profoundly transform the empire's religious landscape. Family and social relationships were foundational to Roman identity. The paterfamilias, or male head of the household, wielded significant authority over his family, including the power of life and death. Women, while excluded from formal political roles, held influence within the domestic sphere and sometimes in public life. Elite women could own property, sponsor public works, and engage in business, though their opportunities were limited compared to men. Children were valued as heirs and contributors to the family legacy, with education emphasizing rhetoric, philosophy, and practical skills for boys, while girls were prepared for domestic roles. Life in the provinces varied widely, shaped by local customs and the degree of Roman influence. In some regions, like Gaul and Britain, Romanization introduced new technologies, urban planning, and cultural practices, blending with indigenous traditions. In others, such as Egypt and the Near East, long-standing civilizations maintained their unique identities while integrating aspects of Roman governance and commerce. Provincial cities mirrored Rome's layout, with forums, amphitheaters, and baths serving as symbols of Roman authority and culture. The Roman Empire was a mosaic of experiences, where daily life ranged from the opulence of the elite to the struggles of the poor, from the freedom of citizens to the constraints of slaves. Its intricate social and economic systems, combined with its cultural adaptability, created a civilization that endured for centuries and left an indelible mark on history. This foundation of urban sophistication, social structure, and cultural integration set the stage for the empire's enduring legacy and the challenges that would eventually reshape its world. As the Roman Empire expanded its borders and solidified its dominance, the lives of its citizens and subjects became increasingly influenced by the empire's vast scale and intricate systems of governance. Rome's ability to maintain control over such a sprawling and diverse territory was a testament to its administrative ingenuity, military prowess, and cultural adaptability. The empire functioned as a complex web of interconnected cities, provinces, and regions, each contributing to the whole while retaining unique local identities. Central to life in the empire was the Roman military, which not only safeguarded the empire's frontiers but also acted as a unifying force, spreading Roman culture and infrastructure wherever it went. The legions, composed of well-trained citizen soldiers and auxiliaries recruited from the provinces, were both a symbol of Roman power and a practical tool of expansion. Soldiers constructed roads, bridges, and fortifications, laying the groundwork for the empire's famed infrastructure. They also brought Roman customs, language, and law to distant lands, fostering a sense of shared identity among the empire's inhabitants. For provincial recruits, military service was often a path to Roman citizenship, offering opportunities for social mobility and integration into the imperial system. The provinces were the backbone of the empire, supplying resources, taxes, and manpower. Governors, appointed by the emperor or the Senate, administered these regions, ensuring compliance with Roman laws and overseeing local affairs. The degree of Romanization varied widely across the empire. In some areas, such as Hispania and Gaul, Roman culture flourished, blending seamlessly with local traditions. In others, like Judea and Britannia, resistance to Roman rule persisted, occasionally erupting in violent uprisings. Despite these challenges, the provinces benefited from Roman infrastructure, including roads, aqueducts, and public buildings, which facilitated trade and communication. Trade was the lifeblood of the Roman economy, linking distant corners of the empire through an intricate network of routes by land and sea. The Mediterranean served as the empire's central artery, teeming with merchant ships carrying goods like grain from Egypt, olive oil from Hispania, and spices from the east. Luxury items, including silk, ivory, and precious stones, flowed into Rome from as far as China and India, evidence of the empire's vast reach and cosmopolitan character. Markets in cities like Rome, Alexandria, and Antioch were hubs of commerce, where goods, cultures, and ideas converged, creating a dynamic and interconnected economy. Urban centers were the heart of Roman civilization, serving as both administrative hubs and cultural showcases. Rome itself remained the empire's largest and most magnificent city, a place of immense wealth and splendor but also of stark inequality. The lives of the urban poor were marked by instability and hardship, as they often relied on the state-provided grain dole, annona, to survive. Public spectacles, such as gladiatorial games, chariot races, and theatrical performances, served not only as entertainment but also as tools for social cohesion and political propaganda. The ludi, or games, were sponsored by emperors and elites to curry favor with the populace, reinforcing loyalty to the state while distracting from societal grievances. Religion in the Roman Empire underwent profound changes during this period, reflecting its diverse population and evolving political landscape. Traditional Roman polytheism, with its emphasis on rituals and public ceremonies, coexisted with the myriad of religious practices brought by conquered peoples. Mystery cults, such as those dedicated to Isis, Mithras, and Cybele, gained popularity, offering personal salvation and a sense of community in an increasingly complex world. The rise of Christianity, initially a small and often persecuted sect, represented one of the most significant religious transformations in history. By the 4th century, under Emperor Constantine, Christianity transitioned from a marginalized faith to the dominant religion of the empire, reshaping its cultural and spiritual identity. Education and intellectual life flourished in the empire, particularly among the elite. Roman schools emphasized rhetoric, grammar, and philosophy, preparing young men for careers in law, politics, or administration. Greek culture, deeply admired by the Romans, remained a cornerstone of education, with works by Homer, Plato, and Aristotle forming the basis of the curriculum. Libraries and centers of learning, such as the Library of Alexandria, served as repositories of knowledge, preserving and disseminating the intellectual achievements of the ancient world. This intellectual vitality contributed to advancements in engineering, medicine, and astronomy, many of which would influence later civilizations. Despite its grandeur, the empire was not without its challenges. Social inequality, corruption, and political instability created tensions that occasionally erupted into violence. The reliance on slave labor perpetuated a system of exploitation and inequality, while the vast disparity between the wealthy elite and the impoverished masses sowed discontent. In the provinces, heavy taxation and cultural impositions sometimes provoked resistance, as local populations struggled to balance their traditional identities with the demands of Roman rule. Life in the Roman Empire during this period was a study in contrasts, a world of extraordinary achievements and glaring inequalities, of cultural integration and persistent tensions. It was a civilization that celebrated its power and sophistication while grappling with the complexities of governing an empire that spanned continents. This intricate balance of unity and diversity, strength and vulnerability, defined the Roman experience and laid the groundwork for the challenges and transformations that would come in its later years. The final centuries of the Roman Empire were marked by profound transformations that reshaped every aspect of life for its citizens and subjects. As the empire reached its zenith and began its gradual decline, the dynamics of Roman society, politics, and culture evolved in response to internal and external pressures. This era, defined by both resilience and fragility, saw the empire's legacy take on new forms, influencing the course of Western civilization even as its political structure fragmented. One of the most significant developments in this period was the increasing centralization of power under the emperors. The shift from a republic to an empire centuries earlier had already concentrated authority in the hands of a single ruler, but by the late empire, the emperor's role had become more overtly autocratic. Figures like Diocletian and Constantine implemented sweeping reforms to stabilize the empire, reorganizing its administrative and military systems. Diocletian's decision to divide the empire into eastern and western halves, each governed by an emperor and a subordinate, was a pragmatic response to the challenges of governing such a vast territory. While this system, known as the Tetrarchy, provided temporary stability, it also laid the groundwork for the eventual political division of the empire. Constantine's reign brought dramatic changes, particularly with his embrace of Christianity. His Edict of Milan in 313 CE legalized the once persecuted religion, paving the way for its spread throughout the empire. By the end of the 4th century, under Emperor Theodosius I, Christianity had become the empire's official religion, marking a decisive break with its pagan past. This shift not only redefined the spiritual identity of Rome but also transformed its cultural and political institutions. The Christian Church emerged as a powerful entity, assuming roles that had traditionally been the domain of the state, such as education, social welfare, and moral guidance. The transformation of the Roman economy during this period reflected both continuity and decline. While trade and agriculture remained vital, economic stability was increasingly threatened by inflation, heavy taxation, and labor shortages. The reliance on slave labor, long a cornerstone of the Roman economy, began to wane as the supply of slaves diminished due to fewer military conquests. In response, the empire saw the rise of the coloni, tenant farmers who worked the lands of wealthy landowners in exchange for protection. This system foreshadowed the feudal structures that would dominate medieval Europe, signaling a shift from the urban-centric economy of the early empire to a more localized and rural one. Cultural life in the late empire was characterized by a blending of Roman traditions with new influences. As the empire's borders became more porous, interactions with Germanic tribes, Persians, and other groups introduced fresh ideas and customs. Art and architecture reflected this synthesis, with early Christian basilicas and mosaics incorporating both classical and emerging styles. Literature and philosophy, too, adapted to the changing times, with authors like Augustine of Hippo grappling with questions of faith, morality, and the nature of human existence in a world that seemed increasingly uncertain. Despite these adaptations, the Roman Empire faced relentless external pressures that would ultimately lead to its fragmentation. Germanic tribes, pushed westward by the Huns, began to encroach on Roman territories. The Visigoths' sack of Rome in 410 CE, followed by the Vandals in 455 CE, symbolized the empire's vulnerability and the erosion of its once unshakable power. In 476 CE, the deposition of the last Western Roman emperor, Romulus Augustulus, by the Germanic chieftain Odoacer, marked the traditional end of the Western Roman Empire. However, the Eastern Roman Empire, later known as the Byzantine Empire, continued to thrive for nearly 1,000 more years, preserving many aspects of Roman culture and governance. For the people of the empire, these tumultuous changes brought both hardship and opportunity. The decline of centralized authority allowed local leaders and communities to assert greater autonomy, while the spread of Christianity provided a unifying moral and spiritual framework. Life in the provinces evolved as Roman institutions gave way to new forms of governance and social organization, blending Roman traditions with those of incoming peoples. This fusion created the foundations of medieval European civilization, ensuring that Rome's influence would endure long after its political collapse. The legacy of the Roman Empire is one of profound and enduring impact. Its legal principles, engineering achievements, and cultural innovations shaped the development of Europe and beyond. The roads, aqueducts, and monumental architecture that once symbolized Roman might continue to serve as reminders of its grandeur. Meanwhile, the spread of Christianity, codified Roman law, and the Latin language provided a common foundation for the emerging nations of medieval Europe. The story of life in the Roman Empire is ultimately a testament to the resilience and adaptability of its people. From the bustling streets of Rome to the farthest reaches of its provinces, the empire was a dynamic and diverse civilization that responded to the challenges of its time with creativity and resourcefulness. Its history, marked by both triumph and decline, continues to captivate and inspire, offering lessons about the complexities of power, the interplay of cultures, and the enduring legacy of human achievement.